The smell of turpentine and oil paint had always been my sanctuary, but that morning it mixed with the acrid scent of smoke as I watched 20 years of my life turn to ash in my mother-in-law's marble fireplace. Diane stood there, poker in hand, stirring my paintings like she was tending to autumn leaves, a satisfied smile playing on her surgically enhanced lips. "This is for your own good, Sophia," she said, not even looking at me as another canvas crackled and split in the flames. "You're 32 years old, married to my son for 3 years, and you're still playing with finger paints like a child. It's embarrassing." I stood frozen in the doorway of her Westchester mansion, my portfolio case empty at my feet, watching her methodically feed painting after painting into the fire. The landscapes I'd painted in Tuscany during our honeymoon. The abstract series that had taken me 6 months to complete. The portrait of her son, Marcus, that I'd spent weeks perfecting as his birthday gift. "Diane," I said, my voice surprisingly steady, "those paintings weren't just doodles. They were worthless distractions," she interrupted, finally turning to face me. Her green eyes, so like Marcus's but completely devoid of his warmth, glinted with triumph. "Marcus called me this morning, worried about your little interview today. Some gallery downtown? Please. He asked me to talk sense into you while he's in Boston." She threw another canvas into the flames, my breakthrough piece, the one that had caught the attention of the Meridian Gallery's chief curator. "He didn't ask you to burn my work," I said, my hands trembling. "No, but sometimes a mother knows best. You need to focus on giving me grandchildren, not wasting time on this hobby. I've already called the gallery to cancel your appointment." That's when I started laughing. It wasn't hysteria, though Diane's perfectly Botoxed forehead attempted a frown at my reaction. It was genuine, deep laughter that bubbled up from somewhere primal. 3 years of her subtle jabs, her constant undermining, her attempts to mold me into her vision of the perfect society wife. It all crystallized in this moment of spectacular self-destruction. "What's so funny?" she demanded, poker still in hand. I pulled out my phone, scrolling through my emails until I found the one from 2 weeks ago. "Diane, do you know what provenance means in the art world? I don't care about your art terms. It means documented history of ownership," I continued, walking closer to the fireplace where the last of my canvases were turning to expensive ash. "Every piece you just burned was catalogued, photographed, and insured by Meridian Gallery's insurance partner, Lloyd's of London." Her poker hand wavered slightly. "That landscape you just destroyed? It was already sold to a collector in Hong Kong for $400,000. The abstract series? Commissioned by the Morrison Hotel Group for their new boutique properties. $1.8 million. The portrait of Marcus? That was going to be the centerpiece of my solo exhibition next month. Estimated value, $750,000. The poker clattered onto the hearth. "You're lying," she whispered. I dialed a number on my phone, putting it on speaker. "Glenn? It's Sophia Hartwell. I need to report a claim." "Yes, the entire portfolio. Deliberately destroyed by a third party. I have video evidence, yes." "Video?" Diane's voice cracked. I pointed to my phone, which had been recording since I'd walked in to find her crime in progress. "I started recording when I saw what you were doing through the window. Glenn, the total value of destroyed works is approximately $3.2 million. Glenn's voice filled the room. "Mrs. Hartwell, I'm dispatching our investigator immediately. This constitutes felony arson and destruction of property. Please don't touch anything, and keep the perpetrator on scene if possible." "The perpetrator," I said, looking directly at Diane, "is my mother-in-law, Diane Blackwood." The blood drained from her face so fast I thought she might faint. She stumbled to her cream-colored sofa, her designer heels catching on the Persian rug. But Marcus said you just painted for fun. He said the gallery thing was just you playing artist." "Marcus says a lot of things to keep you happy," I said, sitting in the chair across from her. "He knew exactly what my art was worth. He's been my biggest supporter, actually. He just didn't want you to know because he knew you'd either try to take credit for my success or find a way to sabotage it. Looks like he was right about the sabotage part." "I'll pay for them," she said quickly. "I'll write you a check right now." "With what money, Diane?" I asked. "The allowance Marcus gives you? The trust fund that's actually in his name? Or were you planning to sell this house that's also in Marcus's name?" Her face went from pale to gray. We both knew the truth. For all her pretense of wealth and control, everything Diane had came from her late husband's estate, which Marcus controlled entirely. The doorbell rang, followed by insistent knocking. Through the window, I could see not just an insurance investigator, but 2 police officers. You called the police? Diane shrieked. No, Glenn did. Destruction of artwork valued over $250,000 is a federal crime. Did you know that? I didn't either until I started working with serious collectors. I opened the door to find Glenn himself, a tall, distinguished man in his 60s who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. Behind him stood 2 officers and a woman in a severe suit carrying a camera and evidence kit. Mrs. Hartwell, Glenn said, his British accent more pronounced in his distress. I came personally because, well, the amount involved and the circumstances. This is Detective Morrison and Detective Kim. Detective Morrison, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes that missed nothing, stepped forward. Ma'am, we need to document the scene. Is the perpetrator still here? I gestured to the living room where Diane sat frozen on her sofa, looking every one of her 63 years despite the thousands she spent trying to look 40. As the investigator photographed the fireplace, the ashes, the empty portfolio case, and my still-recording phone, Detective Morrison interviewed us separately. I showed her the video, which clearly showed Diane feeding my paintings into the fire while explaining how she was helping me. Mrs. Blackwood, Detective Morrison said after reviewing everything, I'm placing you under arrest for felony destruction of property, arson in the 3rd degree, and vandalism exceeding $400 in damage. 400. Diane laughed hysterically. Try 3 million. That's going to make this significantly worse for you, the detective said, pulling out handcuffs. That's when Marcus walked in. He stood in the doorway, taking in the scene. His mother in handcuffs, police officers in his childhood home. Me standing by the fireplace with insurance investigators, and the unmistakable smell of burnt canvas in the air. What the hell happened? He asked, though his eyes were already on the fireplace, on the ashes, on his mother's guilty face. Your mother burned my entire portfolio, I said simply. The one for the Meridian Gallery exhibition. She what? Marcus's face went through a journey of emotions, confusion, realization, rage. Mom, tell me you didn't. I was trying to help. Diane cried as the officers led her toward the door. She needs to focus on family, on giving us grandchildren, not this art nonsense. You said so yourself. I said I wanted Sophia to be happy. Marcus shouted. I said I was proud of her success. I said the exhibition was going to change everything for her career. When did I ever say to destroy her work? You said you were worried about the interview. I was worried about her being nervous. It was encouragement, not whatever this is. He turned to me, his face stricken. Sophie, I swear I didn't know. I would never. I know, I said quietly. And I did. Marcus had his flaws, but he'd never been anything but supportive of my art. Mr. Blackwood, Detective Morrison interrupted. We need to take your mother to the station for processing. Marcus nodded numbly, then seemed to snap back to himself. Mom, don't say another word. I'm calling Richard Hoffman. The divorce attorney? Diane gasped. The criminal defense attorney, Marcus corrected coldly. Though now that you mention it. He looked at me, and I saw the moment he made his decision. Sophie, can we talk? Privately. I followed him to his father's old study, leaving the investigators to their work. He closed the door and leaned against it, running his hands through his dark hair. I can't do this anymore, he said quietly. I've spent my entire life managing her emotions, apologizing for her behavior, trying to minimize the damage she causes. I thought when we got married it would get better, that she'd see how happy you made me and back off. Instead, she got worse. Marcus, she destroyed your life's work, Sophie. She committed a felony because she couldn't stand the thought of you succeeding on your own terms. What's next? What if we do have children? What damage will she do to them? He pulled out his phone and made a call. James? It's Marcus Blackwood. I need to see you first thing tomorrow morning. Yes, divorce proceedings. No, not separation. Divorce. I stared at him. Marcus, you don't have to. Yes, I do, he said, ending the call. I love you, Sophie, but I've realized something. As long as I'm tied to my mother, legally and financially, she'll always have power over us. She'll always find ways to hurt you, to hurt us. I'm done enabling her. What about your inheritance? The family trust. He laughed bitterly. What inheritance? It's all in my name already. Dad made sure of that before he died. He knew what she was. I couldn't see it. Or I didn't want to. There was a knock on the door. Glenn peered in apologetically. Mrs. Hartwell, I need you to sign some forms. The good news is, with the documentation we have, the insurance payout should be processed within 30 days. The full $3.2 million, plus will cover legal fees for prosecuting the criminal case. And the gallery? I asked. I've already spoken with the Meridian's director. She's devastated but says the digital portfolio and the publicity from this incident might actually increase interest. She's suggesting a modified exhibition, Phoenix from Ashes, featuring the digital prints alongside new works. Rather poetic, really. After Glenn left, Marcus and I stood in comfortable silence. Through the window, we could see Diane being driven away in the police car, her perfectly coiffed head barely visible through the window. You know what the ironic part is? I said finally. Those paintings she burned? They were good, but they weren't my best work. My best work is in climate-controlled storage at the gallery. I learned years ago never to keep all my eggs in one basket, or in this case, one portfolio. Marcus laughed, really laughed, for the first time since he'd walked in. So she committed a felony to destroy work that wasn't even your best? Oh, it was still worth the $3.2 million, I assured him. But the pieces for the actual exhibition? The ones that are going to establish my reputation? They're safe. Your mother just gave me the best possible publicity for my launch. The story of an artist whose work was so threatening to the status quo that someone tried to literally burn it. You're taking this remarkably well, Marcus observed. I'm free, I said simply. For 3 years, I've been trying to win your mother's approval, dimming my light to make her more comfortable. Now, she's shown everyone exactly who she is. And more importantly, she's shown me that I don't need her approval. I never did. That night, as we sat in our apartment in the city, away from the gothic drama of the Westchester house, Marcus pulled up his laptop. What are you doing? I asked. Booking tickets to Paris, he said. You're going to need new inspiration for your Phoenix exhibition. And I figure we should be out of the country when Mom makes bail. She's going to make bail? Oh, definitely. But she's also going to face trial, and with that video you took, she's going to lose. Badly. I thought about Diane, sitting in a cell tonight, probably demanding to speak to a manager. Tomorrow, the story would hit the art blogs. By the end of the week, it would be in the Times. The woman who tried to burn her daughter-in-law's art, only to discover it was worth millions. You know what? I said, curling into Marcus's side. She did me a favor. She turned me from an unknown artist into a story. The art world loves nothing more than a story of triumph over adversity. So you're thanking her? God, no. I'm pressing charges and hoping she gets the maximum sentence. But I'm also going to paint the best damn collection of my life and dedicate it to all the mothers-in-law who think their children married beneath them. Marcus kissed the top of my head. That's my girl. Phoenix from Ashes indeed. As I drifted off to sleep, I thought about the paintings Diane had burned. Each one had been a stepping stone to this moment, to this freedom. Tomorrow, I'd start painting again. But tonight, I was exactly where I needed to be. With a husband who chose me over his toxic mother, $3 million coming my way, and a story that would make me unforgettable in the art world. Sometimes, the best art comes from the worst experiences. And sometimes, the most expensive bonfire leads to the brightest future.